Well, we are a week into this adventure, and what a week it has been. I bet that you have heard the word surreal uttered and written more times in this past week than maybe in the past at least a year. For those of us who work in the Jewish community, we've been scrambling to reimagine how community operates, how community occurs, and especially in a time when we are not allowed to physically be together. Ironically, this is where this week's Torah portion begins. It begins with the words, "And Moses gathered the entire community of the people of Israel." Can you imagine? 1 week into this, and a mass gathering seems like something exotic and extravagant that we would love to see happening. And if we did get together, I have a feeling that I know what we would be talking about. In any case, we're at this moment in our reading of the Torah where the construction of the tabernacle, the Mishkan, the portable temple in the desert, is almost complete. We're approaching completion. The Ark of the Covenant, which contains the tablets which Moses brings down from Mount Sinai, is put into place, and it is screened off with the curtain. The table, all the utensils, the lampstand, the menorah are brought in. The gold altar is put in position right by the Ark of the Covenant on the other side of the curtain. And the parasha describes it in such detail that it's almost like a decorating guide. It specifies the furnishings, the accessories, where they are to be placed, and all the items of the tabernacle are then anointed with oil in order to consecrate them and to make them holy. And God instructs, anoint the altar of burnt offering so that the altar shall be most holy. Most holy. This is very interesting. The RambaN, a famous 13th century biblical scholar in Spain, explains what this means. He says the altar shall be most holy, meaning literally this is the Holy of Holies. It is the most as the most holy of sacrifices were to be offered upon this altar. Note, he writes, that the tabernacle itself, the rest of this tabernacle compound, is merely holy. But the only place in the tabernacle that was most holy was the place of the ark, with the altar right next to it, just on the other side of the curtain. So the RambaN adds, it may be that the altar was part of the Holy of Holies because it had the power to make other things holy. For as it is written in Exodus 29:37, whatever touches the altar shall become consecrated. Whatever touches the altar shall also become holy. So in the midst of all these decorating instructions and positioning, unwrapping, initiation of the brand new furniture and accessories, there seems to be something almost magical about the altar. Unlike anything else, the altar uniquely has the capacity to transfer its own core quality of holiness. Unlike anything else, the altar has the capacity to make other things holy. Instead of its holiness being diminished with use, it increases. And try to compare that to the various commodities that you can't put your hands on, that you cannot find in the supermarket these days. Things that get used up, things that have a finite quantity and therefore become unavailable. Here, though, with the altar, It multiplies and it imparts its energy to anything that comes in contact with it. Not to be confused with what? With the coronavirus, which of course whatever it touches it gives itself over to. The altar, whatever touches it becomes holy too. And this energy, the energy that it imbues, is holiness. The altar seems to offer a point of transformation from ordinary to sacred. It seems to have a Midas touch, as anything that touches it takes on its properties and becomes one with it, and also becomes one with the Ark of the Covenant. And why? Because the holy presence has settled among them. So, again, the contrast between the altar and the throwaway nature of most items that we come in contact with today, the contrast is stark. Almost everything we encounter in this day and age has limited use, a limited lifespan, a finite quantity, but that which has an energy of its own, which increases the more we engage with it, such as the altar, is truly different to everything else we know and experience. So we learn in the HaChayim, famous Jewish text of Jewish law, that when we elevate the gifts we give to a spiritual level, the gifts that we imbue with a deep sense of ourselves and our own spirituality, those gifts merge with God's holiness. And this brings us to matters of the heart, to matters of love, a natural and inevitable connection. Love is our altar. Love is infinite and has the power to multiply every time that we express it and that we put it out into the world. And therefore love is quite distinct from everything else in the universe. It is kadosh. It is holy. Love is God flowing through us, and the more we give it away, the more we have to give. Love is our Holy of Holies, because it has the power to transfer itself to others, to multiply, to be passed on, and therefore to increase itself. In a time when we are both unable to place our hands on the commodities we need, and when we're also physically unable to place our hands into the hands of another human soul, we nonetheless are not to stop reaching out. Social isolation, which we hear about so much, is the wrong term. More than ever, we need social connection, although of course in a context of physical distancing. Rashi, another very famous Jewish scholar, teaches us that the blessing which Moses gives to all those who lovingly gave gifts to the construction of the tabernacle was as follows: May it be the will of God that his divine presence rest upon the work of your hands. The greatest, most important work that we all can do now is to reach out to others, to connect, to offer love, and especially with those who are most in need, those who might be isolated, those who are not able even to get to shops and stores to get the things that they need, those who are living by themselves. Out of Athens, Georgia, the Indigo Girls acknowledged the perils, yet conceded the inevitable reward of giving love. Though it's storming out, I feel safe within the arms of love's discovery. Shabbat Shalom.